Hi, I'm Dennis DiCicco, Senior Editor of Sky and Telescope magazine here in San Jose, California at the 2009 Advanced Imaging Conference. And I'm speaking with Egon Derbel of ASA Systems, better known as Astro System Austria, right? Or as you would say,
Astro Systeme Austria.
Systeme. All right.
Yes, it's true.
All right. You've got some interesting equipment. You've been at these AIC conferences for several years, and you've been bringing more advanced stuff every year. A few years ago, you started out with these very fast Newtonian astrographs, yes, which are, the one we're looking at here is a 12-inch?
This is 10-inch.
This is a 10-inch. This is an
F3.6.
F3.6. All right, but before we go back to that, what's really interesting is what we're looking at here at the mount. This is brand new technology for astronomical telescope mounts. And one of the things is, and I don't know if the camera can pick this up, this is essentially silent. This thing is swinging back and forth right now and not making a bit of noise. Yes. So tell me what's going on here.
Yes. With this mount, we bring the professional technology from the great big telescopes here also for the amateur. It's a direct drive driven mount. This means there is no gear.
So the shaft itself is part of the motor?
Yes.
No gears?
No gears.
It's all driven, it's essentially done with magnets.
Yes. On the shaft there's a magnet with some poles, and in the housing there's the wiring. And so you have a motor. This turns 1 time per day without gear.
Without gears. And the other thing is, it's very, very precise. Tell me a little bit about how all of that works.
Yes, this is because we have the encoder's node on the motor, so we have it on the axis. Normal, you have a gear, and the encoder is behind the gear. And so you have backlash, and measured also the backlash. And so here is on the axis, and we read out this encoder. The encoder has a use-able resolution from 0.03 arc seconds, and we read out this 100 times per second. And so the computer knows every time where is the mount and where should be the mount, and we control it 100 times per second. And so we have this position.
So in other words, you've got the shaft turning an encoder. And this encoder's got very high resolution, got the computer looking at that encoder 100 times a second, and it's saying, is the shaft in the right place? And if it's not, you can issue a correction. So you can issue corrections up to 100 times a second to make this track. So that gets rid of all your periodic error. You've got precise tracking, but you can also respond to things like wind gusts, right?
Yes, also wind gusts, because the encoder's on the shaft, they knows when wind is coming and turn the tube in the wrong direction, the motor's going against them. So it's hold in the same position what the telescope should be.
And I know one of the things that we can't demonstrate on video, but is if you actually go to press against this, you can feel the telescope sort of press back at you. It says, hey, you're pushing me where I don't want to be, so I'm going to put a little bit of force and go back. It's almost like it has a life of its own. But it's very, very impressive. And of course, you have incredible slewing speed.
Yes, this is because the torque motor have a very high dynamic, 1 to 10,000 about this and more. And so we can 1 turn by day and also 1 turn in few seconds.
Just a few seconds.
This software called AutoSlew is a very professional software. It's used in the very big scopes, in the meter class telescopes. And so you have also satellite tracking and accuracy like 1 arc second with a guiding speed of more than 3-5 degrees per second. With the pointing model, you eliminate all failures like tubus flags, refraction in the sky, also all what on this.
I'll take you back for a second. You started to say refraction, so you can actually model the atmospheric refraction and correct for that.
Yes. Yes. Pointing model means that you make some stars by photo, by imaging, or also to center it in a crosshair. And there you storage this position, and with the encoders you measurement in the 0.03 arc seconds, and we know exactly how is the refraction in this part of the Yeah.
So a pointing model, as you said, you put a crosshair eyepiece in, or you use your camera. You look at 10 or a dozen stars at different parts of the sky, point it carefully at that, and mark it. And then from there, the software makes a model of the pointing. How often do you have to create a new model? Can you save a model for weeks at a time if it's a permanently mounted scope?
Yes, you can save it, but when you have it fixed mounted, you need only one pointing model, and
you're good for forever.
For a full year or longer.
All right.
Only when you change the optic or also the setup, you can make a new pointing model.
You have also different weight.
Yes,
yeah, different weight, different
or
flucture.
You have two telescopes, one pointing model for these telescopes and for the other one. But when you go in the field, every time you need a pointing model when you will have this high accuracy.
All right. I got a couple of other quick questions. One, I see features here. You've got obviously USB ports on the front, and I can see on the back you've got some power outputs. So you've got cabling which is going through the mount so that you can power equipment that's attached to the telescope without having wires dangling off. All right, so is this require sophisticated power? Is this a 12-volt system? 12
yes. In this case it's 12 voltage, and you need only for normal guiding speed a half to 1 amps, and so with a normal car battery in the field, you can use it the whole night.
Whole night with a car battery, yeah. Nothing special. And this is the DDM 60. So this is a mobile mount. Roughly, what's the capacity?
The capacity is 55 pounds.
55 pounds. And the whole mount itself weighs roughly?
45.
45?
45 pounds.
Not bad. All right, I got a couple of other things here. I noticed you got a little laser light symbol. What's that all about?
This laser helps you by polar alignment in the field. You can turn it on here.
Okay, I can see that. So
it's go in the direction to Polaris. You make the rough correction here to this line, and you'll be there 1 degree, roughly.
Here you've got this built-in laser that's aligned with the polar axis. You set it down, turn it on. It's like a laser pointer. You can see it going in the sky. Just adjust everything so it's pointed at Polaris. You're within a degree of the pole to start your polar alignment routine.
Exactly, Tennessee.
Very impressive. That's a nice little device.
And with software, you can make it very fine, about 1 arc-minute polar alignment.
Just using software routine, pointing at stars and making your adjustments from there.
You need only 4 to 5 stars to make this polar alignment with the software.
All right, so this is the smallest of several mounts that you've got, the DDM 60. The 60 is the size of the shaft?
Yes, the size of the shaft in millimeters.
And you have behind us the
85 carried about 140 pounds and have the shaft diameters of 85 millimeters.
So here's an example. I can see you got power that goes up to the electric focuser on there, all fed through the mount. Very similar features to the other mount, just a much larger system. And then while you don't have one here, I see you've got a picture over here. This is an observatory class mount?
Yes. This is our biggest. This present time is 160, and the shaft diameter is 160 diameter, yes. And they have very big encoders, and this resolution of 0.007 arc seconds.
Amazing. So you started out by saying one of your visions was that you wanted to bring this professional technology to the amateur. I mean, with the direct drive, and you've started to get there. Where do you see this as? What do you see this as delivering for amateurs?
Yes, in present, most of our customers use this without auto guiding because it's so precise, this mount, that it doesn't need it.
So you can take exposures 20, 30 minutes long?
Yes.
With no auto guiding?
Narrow band and so on.
Simply because you're correcting for all the atmospheric refraction, flexures in the telescope, and tracking accuracies.
Right.
So you've got that, and also this is obviously great technology for the remote observing, for people who aren't right at their telescope when they're working.
Yes, it's easier to use, also remotely, no problems, because you don't have no auto guiding, and the telescope make it automatically.
Not all the setup that goes with auto guiding all goes away.
Yes.
So, and you've got them in the field doing that too.
Yes.
Wow, very impressive. More material than we can possibly cover here in the video. I presume that you've got plenty of it on your website.
Yeah.
All right, and the website is?
www.astrosysteme.at.
AT for Austria.
Yes.
All right, Egan, thank you very, very much for this. I'm Dennis DiCicco, Senior Editor of Sky and Telescope Magazine here in San Jose at the 2009 Advanced Imaging Conference.